You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast, and we are excited to introduce our first two 2026 Conquest champions. We have Connor Elmstrom from the Windy City Conquest, and then Daniel Leon, our winner of the Golden State Conquest. So, without further ado, my name is Andrew Kouba.
My name is Nick Sperry.
My name is Connor Elmstrom.
And I'm Daniel Leon.
So, kicking it off to you, Nick, how were these events? I know this is kind of the first episode we've done about our Conquest series, but last year's ran so well. How is it going this year?
Just terrible. I can't believe these guys won. I can't believe it. Truly a disgrace. It's been great. I think the format lends itself to have more participation this year, and we've seen pretty steady, consistent participation from players in the first two. And also the best part about these is that you have a field of names that you would expect to be competing in final table, and then they don't make it to final table. You get a really nice array of different players of high skill levels, like the two that are joining us today, that have been able to go undefeated the whole day and walk away with a trophy. And so it's been fun so far. Keeping it in the US time zones has been a little bit easier to manage. I do feel for those who do play overseas, but they've been able to make it work since it's in the middle of the weekend. Yeah, and honestly, knock on wood, going a little too well. Things have gone very smoothly. However, I know that one big and rising piece of feedback is that we have tended to be just over the cusp of having only two undefeated players. We typically have had three now. These first two, again, we've had three. So one undefeated player has missed out on being able to play final table, which never feels good. I can probably sympathize if I were one of those players who played perfect the whole day and didn't get to make top two. I would be salty. So we're going to look into doing a top four moving forward, as long as the numbers push towards needing one, so that no undefeated player is taken out. However, those who have not been able to play in the first one, Windy City, it worked out because Tony, our reigning world champ, had to leave for over an hour, and we couldn't wait over an hour to play final table. It just really drags the day along. So he dropped. But then for our last one, Max, I did reach out to him about getting him some extra swag, just for congratulations on a really good day for him. But otherwise, great. How did you guys feel, Connor and Daniel? How did you guys feel about it so far?
It's been pretty good. I really do like the idea of doing a top four rather than a top two. And me from Pacific Northwest and you kicking out another person from the Pacific Northwest definitely didn't make me feel great either.
It was all intentional, it's a scheme for months about that.
But puts a little extra pressure on you to perform, I
mean, last year I was a 4-0 player as well and did not make the final table. So I've been on both sides of it now, and I can definitely say that there's the feel bads of you did everything you could that day, and it is what it is at that point. There's definitely a feels back as you walk away from the computer, like, what else could I have done? What else could I have done? And then I don't think I even watched that final because I was like, I need a distance for a little bit, a chill, a calm down kind of thing. I watched the final later on after that, but yeah, that was with my broken Goran list, I think, at the time, which doesn't even work anymore. So it was just one of those things to where I think we got a points change like the next week after that too. So then I was like, we're not going to keep playing a dead meta. Like there's no point in trying to make something work out of that, but it's definitely a feels bad.
I do want to call you out, Daniel, because I promised you guys, you and the winner of that event, a top two for you to have a chance to win a trophy, and then you guys decided to play the game without me even knowing. So that one's on you.
It lasted like 2 rounds.
Scream it and everything, and then he messages me like, "I lost." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
it would have been very anticlimactic. Like he had it sealed in like the first 3 rounds, and then me early GGs. Like it was no point in trying.
Just like the fact that both of you guys were like, "Oh yeah, that thing that Nick wanted to do for us and stream it. We'll just like not tell him when we're playing and play, and then just message him say like, we did it." I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't the agreement.
Classic, right? Classic X-Wing players, right?
Classic. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be, I guess. But yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. I've personally, selfishly, I've liked the 5 rounds in a day in terms of time and the commitment for everybody. It works really well, but because the numbers don't support only doing 5 rounds, I'm willing to do 6. It's a really, really long day for me, and all the players are. It's almost as long for them as well. So we're all in this together. I'm just doing so much more on my end. That's just something that I need to be less stubborn about, and am willing to do for the next two. So for those of you that have seen or been frustrated by the fact that we had a couple of times now where we haven't allowed the third 4-0 to play and cut, that won't happen anymore. However, I'm now looking forward to all the 3-1s complaining to me that they missed top 4 because one of them will make it and the rest will miss. So I'm really excited for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an easier pill for them to swallow, though.
Yeah, but if one of the 3-1s wins the championship, there will be some complaints. The X-Wing players love to complain. It's literally my life.
Sure, but it's going to happen either way, right? So
they'll be happy that one of their own was lifted up. They'll be okay.
1,000%. That's how I feel.
I just know when people say they won't complain, I'm like, it's okay, you will, but it's gonna be fine. I understand.
Yeah, that's the Cinderella story.
Guys, I know Pattern Analyzer is down, but I just love to take a quick look at the event pages and kind of what stood out to you guys. Connor, I want to start with you in terms of your experience that day and like what you matched up against. Was there anything that you, going into the tournament really didn't want to face, but you were worried about, and how did that all go?
I'll be very basic with saying this, but this is the post-Worlds fight, so everyone going into this was all just dragging their heels, saying, I don't want to fight standard loadout Fen Rao. Or any of the other meta that was coming out of Worlds. So at least for me, my first thought was, well, let's just play something that just says absolutely no to a light ace and just bring Decimator, Red Shirinu with Vader, honestly. Have a good time with splitting apart any kind of swarm list with Death Rain by throwing out, what did I have on it? It was Diamond Boron Missiles, Trajectory Simulator, Expert Handling, Thermal Detonators, and Delayed Fuses. Shout out to Keys for absolutely just showing me the initial part of Death Rain and giving me the love that I have for this ship now.
Oh, yeah. He's the Death Rain master.
He is the Death Rain master. And in fact, I actually faced him in, I think, round 3 as well. I won, but honestly, his Death Rain was just absolutely dancing on me. I also want to shout out to Chris Jenner with his rack build. He did really well at Worlds, got top 16. I don't remember what placement, but because of that ship, I'm like, you know what? I should just play this thing. I don't want to keep letting Fen Rao get away with whatever he wants. Let's just make him sad and upset. From there on, I just really like the idea of bringing custom Sooner Fell, Crackshot Predator. I've been playing it a little bit here and there, and obviously in 2.0, he's everyone's favorite. He's a wonderful little guy. He dies to, oh no, I just rolled blanks even though I had an evade focus or something like that. And then Wampa. Talking to a few other people, I think everyone was mostly just bringing, let's just bring what's fun. I don't have to take it as seriously. We just got out of Worlds. I can play something a little bit more relaxed as well. I know some people were still bringing like, I still want to win Conquest and make top 8. But either way, the first match was with a guy named Brian Dorge. This is Discord name. He was bringing standard loadout Kylo, Recoil, Ember, and Longshot. I don't think that this match went well for him, but it was a really fun match. Basically, I just cornered Kylo and he didn't really have many ways to escape. And then from there on, I don't imagine Recoil and Ember and Longshot are going to be able to do much with a full health rack, full health Death Rain, and Sooner Fell right behind. There was a moment, I think, where Recoil almost trapped Sooner Fell, but he just rolled bad, and, Sooner Fell rolled well, because 3 green, tyranny, right?
Yeah.
Round 2 was tough. I think there was, one round, in there. This is SSP Vader, with Afterburners, Ion Missiles, and Hate. This is BOE, Sooner Fell. This is Whisper with targeting, Computer, Fire Control Systems, Fifth Brother, and then an Academy Pilot. Just a very AC list. I think I threw my Sooner Fell into the mix of Vader and Sooner Fell and got very lucky. They happened to get the initiative. I was able to kind of slip past them and just kind of avoid them for the most part. So Vader and Sooner were out of position while Rail Shirinu and Death Rain were just coming in hot. I think there was a slight error where BOE ran into a rock and it was somewhat game over from there. Round 3, versus Keys. This was an interesting one. The matchup, what was the scenario?
This chance engagement.
Yeah, I think
Josh knew going in this was going to be a tough match. He was even kind of saying it too. A big problem that he was running into was the fact that he had to send somebody towards the middle. And if you've ever played against Josh, he throws Death Rain in to just give you ion bombs, throw you out of position, and then allow whatever his two aces to do to just play a more late game position while Death Rain just kind of throws you off. He kind of did. It was interesting. His Death Rain also survived for longer than expected. I don't know if you guys remember, but he hit the edge of the table twice, but never flew off the board.
Wow.
It was, gentlemen. It was. I saw God that day. It was.
Yeah.
It was wild. But it just wasn't quite enough. Just because TIE Defender Vader, he hits well. He's got Afterburners, Predictive Shot, Malice, and Soonerfell. Standard loadout obviously is also a menace, but there just wasn't really enough damage that he can put into Rack, and my Soonerfell and Death Rain were just kind of hanging out and making sure TIE Defender Vader was also having a hard time too. I do also want to point out, at least for these next two games, this is always the question with larger major tournaments, is how much luck goes into win. I think I want to admit that at least with my last two games, there were some heavy dice favored towards me, at least with Josh and against Dr. Jaren. I don't want to say I didn't fly well, but I do want to say that my dice were really nice.
Yeah, and for Decimator, it's like purely attack variance based too.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally ride or die with your attack variance.
Well, it's interesting too. You say that. Like, I brought Ruthless specifically because I know that's like, oftentimes you're just going to be reinforcing. If you're not in anyone's arc or you don't care about the damage you're going to take, you target lock, and then you don't spend the Vader, so you have a semi double mod. But Ruthless is there in case you're like, whatever, Death Rain, are you ready to take some damage for the glory of Rat? Yeah, and I don't know. There's like a lot of. I think the reason maybe Rack gets ignored sometimes is because it's like you realize like you're spending 19 points for a ship that mods kind of mediocre. Like it's not exactly enough to justify it. But back in that heyday near the end of AMG, they had the Darth Vader and Death Troopers, so it was enough to be like, yeah, but you also do so many other things to your opponent's list that I think it's okay. Vader is a menace. Death Troopers are a menace and can throw a lot of lists off their ability to turn around, all that good stuff. And I think I still see Death Troopers on the board sometimes. And I mean, that's sort of what Chris Jenner brought to Worlds as well, was, hey, what if I just coordinate and make Rear Admiral Shirinu an absolute menace to engage, and you have him more as an opening piece. And don't get me wrong, like, Rack is a great opening piece if they have no way to counter it. But there's certainly some joust lists that Shirinu is not exactly too happy to go into the mix, and he plays a lot more cagey. I don't know if this is the best claim, but I know that there's plenty of people that will fly a Decimator straight into the heart of your opponent's list, thinking that everything is going to go absolutely okay for it. And that might be true.
No, don't do that.
Hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
You only have 4 shields. Like, remember, the 2.0 damage deck exists, and you will be taking crits. Like, you got 4 shields.
Why I took Novice Technician, but it's still not enough sometimes to be crit
Crit
kills. But like, suddenly you have a giant cow that's got weapons failure and hull breach, and you're like, well, that was sad to watch.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just die now.
They're 12 3-1s. Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There were some really good players in this tournament.
I was going to say, definitely stacked lineups for both of the conquests.
So in the top 16, you had FO, Scum, Empire, CIS, Rebels in there as well. You had a Republic list, and then you go down and you have Resistance. So it looks like you have, I just read, I think, every faction.
Yeah.
For Windy City. Again, it is worth noting that this was post Worlds right before points change. So if people are listening back and wondering, like, well, wait a minute, that isn't, things might, we'll look at Daniel's win in his event for Golden State. We'll go over the differences there. But I do see some of those gauntlet lists in here. There's a lot of like 5-6 ship lists just as a theme throughout. You see some that have 3. Like Josh, he has his Death Rain list with Soontir and Vader, as we were talking about earlier. You have the 3-ship Scum that Cam brought. But as you said, Connor, there's, a lot of big names that have continued to play in these events, which is great. It's really important that we have our quote unquote reliable regulars that show up and play in these. I consider both of you and Daniel to be in Andrew when he's able to play. He's able to play often as well in these. It's important to have those players.
I do want to point out too, I didn't even realize Snaggletooth got 5th place with the 5 Ace Bulbalabs with Predator and Premium Plating and Hull Upgrade. That's,
I think his only loss was on our stream. I believe he just like noped out. It was going really badly. His opponent was just pummeling him with dice variants, and yeah, it was I think he was going up against Katsu Mando Boba.
Yeah.
If the dice just go out of place for that, it just could feel so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess I just won't hurt Boba at all, and it won't really matter. Oh my god, that's such a mean list. I want to see this. Oh, it's standard loadout Boba too. L337 Child Contraband. That's an interesting loadout for Mando as well. It's not using that. Host Worlds, Disrespectful, False Transponder Codes probably hidden underneath Razor Crests. Mando Optics, Childs, all that good stuff. Or going with the was it Jabba the Hutt and Contrabands? Oh, sorry, Jabba the Hutt and Overtune modulators. Yeah. That was so dumb.
Yeah,
Daniel, you played in this event too. You brought a list that probably it just didn't seem like it really worked for you.
So I was just playing around with some scumminess. I brought Armored Dangerous Finn, Armored Dangerous Dengar, Armored Dangerous Bosk, and then a Yield Tie. So the setup was really clean, but I don't think I wrapped my head around trying to play 2 big bases. I don't think I bumped a whole lot, but I also didn't have a lot of opportunities to bump now I think about it. It was supposed to be cheeky in your face and then throw a bunch of dice at you, and it just didn't often work that way. I just went 0-2 and dropped because it was not a good day, and I just chose not to continue that frustration overall. That was the last of Cheap Finn, and I don't think you can make all 4 of those ships fit in the same list now. So
there's a lot of really good 15-point scum stuff right now in the current meta that I love to fly, and I still look at Dengar going, well, he's pretty fun though.
Yeah. Honorable mention is, of course, we talked about Tony earlier, but he did bring back his bombers because he could right after Worlds, same points, and went undefeated with them. So again, he couldn't play, was unable to play in final table, but he clearly that list, even now I'm seeing a slightly different version of it still have some success. So
yeah,
it's cool to see. It's a cool archetype that he was able to build, much more interesting than the Gauntlet Swarm. I'm a big hater.
I was gonna say you're still haunted by that even post.
I've never even played it, and I just oh man, the fact that we almost had that play that mirror match on final table would have been brutal to do commentary for. Oh my god, I'm so glad that it happened.
I mean, it does take a mental stamina to fly that tie swarm like that, right?
For sure, 100%.
We're talking trash about it, but it's probably not fun to watch and play against. But as the player, there's a toll for going 5+ rounds with it. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I would never suggest that it's not a taxing list to play.
Yeah,
it's just so boring. It's like
I think
it is dull to me.
I still think it's an integral part of X-Wing, though. I mean, the swarm is a part of the game, and I'm happy that it's here.
I do want to point out there's an evolution now with these tie swarms, like we just talked about. As I scroll down the Windy City, I don't think I see any vulture/hyena swarms. So I think the swarming meta or swarming faction that should be CIS is not right now.
Yeah.
But preview to the next event that you won, Max did bring that. Maybe we segue over from Windy City to Golden State now.
Yeah.
As in our top, let's see, how many 3-1 players did we have in this one? We had 10 3-1 players in this one. And our top factions included CIS, which is Daniel winning the event. We had Rebels in there. We had Republic in there. We had Scum. And we had Resistance, and FO was the last 3-1. So I believe we missed out on First Order, didn't make the cuts. And what was the other faction I didn't mention? I feel like there's one more. Or sorry, not cut. I meant top 3-1s are better. Empire's not in there either, which is really surprising that top 13 players of this event and the ladder, we don't have Empire. But yeah, the third place, Max, he went undefeated with a CIS swarm. Let's see, how many ships? 7 ships, I think, in this list. DBS-32C with Kraken energy shells and struts, and then 3 precise hunters with heavy laser cannon, and then you have a DFS 081 and 311, 081 Discord missiles, and 311 with energy shells. And then you had the Iron Assembler and a Trade Federation drone. Both had energy shells. Iron Assembler also had munitions failsafe. So you have to avoid the energy shells, discords, and heavy laser cannon stuff.
Dice.
That's nasty.
Just throw
Nasty
dice
stuff.
down your opponent's throat and hope for the best.
Yeah, I remember people when I was doing my little 312 points, people were joking with me because I allowed some of the vultures to take HLCs, and here we are. So I'm not saying that they copied 312 points, but there's a little bit of indication here that it can be done. It can be done, at least for now.
Yeah, if you're flying them together, you're going to at least get one. Even if you're flying into a small base, you're at least going to get one HLC off. So it's just almost like, hey, this is a great way to threaten an opening and say you don't want to openly engage this because I can just throw dice. You may kill one of us, but you will not kill all of us.
For Toaster Lover, his first 2 rounds was against IG swarms or triple IG, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But like, man, that's just a lot of robot on robot violence right there.
That's insane. What are the odds? Your back-to-back games are against triple robots. That's insane. That's crazy.
I can't believe you wanted my game on stream for your first run rather than whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, I know. That was an interesting that event. Like I ended up having a couple of repeats on stream. I try not to do that, but it was just based on the matchups. You know, I look at the list and I'm like, oh, that might be interesting, and then they end up playing against the same faction, the same list, or someone who already played on stream. So as you get into the later rounds, you're like, shoot. You know, you don't necessarily want to stream like a Salt Mines game. I'll stream folks who have like a couple losses, like 1 or 2 losses in the middle of the rounds. But there's a whole mental calculation I have to do with how I put stuff on stream. But they were all very entertaining game. And thanks for letting me hold you hostage on stream more than once.
It was really fun, honestly. Both games were, despite the first one going the way it did, it was wonderful to talk to Eric. Yeah, he was a great opponent despite everything escalating the way it was.
Daniel, you brought talk to us about the list that you brought and how did the event go? You don't have to do a round by round bat rep, but you can certainly let us know what you didn't want to face, what you were looking challenge wise. How did it all go that day for you?
Sure. So I guess leading up to building the list, I tried to do a bunch of hyena swarms, and I tried to do it in NCX. I tried to do it in 312, and as Nick can vouch for, I was very frustrated with like this should be working more efficiently than it is. We had a smaller ship count meta after the point changes, but I felt like a shift on that at least. I'm sure there'll be people that disagree, but that's okay. But I thought it could have done much, much better. And then I was like, okay, I need to give the hyenas a break. This is not working. I tried my hyenas with HMPs. It just was not working for me. I didn't even realize that Joel had built a Skill and Ace swarmish list until we just mentioned it here with Connor. So I was completely unaware of that one. I was like, okay, let's go with more ships and try to just stack them up. Okay, so what's kind of sturdy? Okay, let's get away from the calculates, because I was like, I'm not gonna do a Kraken carrier. I'm not gonna do anything with calculates. Let's try to do something with just focus, because the calculates, I think, were just letting me down overall. There were so many times with the hyenas and Kraken that I'd be like just blanks in the blanks or just no pain at all. And not that this list gets away from any of that, but having a way to spend more than one focus result or eyeball result was just added a lot of value. So then I started building it, and I had a list very similar to what Joel had with Skiko and Aces and Pervium. And I think I added shield upgrade or hull upgrade. I can't remember which one it was at the time, but just try to make him more tanky, because at that point they're the same health as an X-Wing, but worse dial, actually a similar dial now I think about it, but the action economy of a reposition focus, much, much better than X-Wings, obviously, and the ability to discard ship crits just goes so much longer. I did like 1 or 2 games with that before I was like, hold on, I think I need to find a way to generate just more red dice, because I think we were talking about it during something in 312 crew chat, if you will, as Nick is aware of, and we were talking about just more red dice, right? And I was like, so I started playing around with that, and I landed on the snapshot, and I was like, I'm giving up 3 hull because I think I did hull upgrades, because as a belly rub, a Belba lab, you don't care about, you're fine when your shields go down. You actually prefer that because that's when the crits can get discarded, right? It's like crit results, bring them on up until I'm out of Impervium, and then stop crits. So I think it was going hull upgrade. I'm giving up hull, but I'm gaining the advantage of throwing more red dice. And then the intimidation factor came in because I was like, okay, snapshot is limited to just 3 from this point exchange. I don't know if it was before, like when XWA started out, but I don't think I've ever seen multiple copies of snapshot running lately in quite some time anyway. So I can't remember when it became limited.
I think it was pretty early on when they said this should be limited to 3.
Fair enough. But then intimidation on Watt came into play because I was like, I can't run 4 snapshots because it's not legal. But what can I do for this last belly rub? What can his talent be? And I was like, intimidation does work with snapshot. Like if I get in there and I get a bump with Watt, and then I have the other ones throwing just 2 dice, which 2 dice versus anything minus greens is not bad. It adds up over time. It's an attrition game because obviously we trade a lot in this game too about like what can my points trade. Like I often look at it like at first opening engage. Okay, I traded 1 shield for 1 shield. Okay, that's not too bad. How do we optimize that the next turn, right? But the intimidation, activation, taking off shield or taking off hull, it just adds a lot of value overall. I add a 4th Skiko and Ace before I change over to the Tri-Fighter, T81 Tri-Fighter, because when he doesn't blow up in the first engage, he adds so much value. Or when Nick calls me out for re-rolling 3 greens, I mean, who knows? Who knows how this game works, right?
Yeah, why don't you walk us through that one? Because that was a shocking moment when you did that. What happened there?
So skipping ahead to that was round 3. He already had 1 hole down, so he only had 2 hole remaining. So if he was
this
full
is
health,
DIS
I think
for
yes.
anyone that's wondering.
Yes, this is DIS versus a robot with 3 hits coming in. I rolled 2 eyeballs and 1 blank, and I decided to re-roll them all. Like I think math-wise, if he had 1 hole, if he
already
had
a calculate, right, or an evade, one of the, I think he had a calculate.
He had 1 calculate, yes, and so health-wise he had 1 hole down, so he only had 2 hole remaining. So I needed all 3. I think if he's full health, I think I do leave that eyeball result, yes, but I needed more squiggles, and it's better to get a chance to get 3 squiggles on 3 dice versus 2 squiggles on 2 dice.
But you had a guaranteed evade.
Yeah, but I think he still dies anyway, honestly. Like that's just
I don't know. I that really hurts you there. That was crazy because you rolled into 3 blanks, which is like rough. I was like, why did he pick up all of his eyeball results? He has an evade or a guaranteed evade there.
But
that was a wild moment. I've never seen something like that on defense. On offense, I've definitely seen, because you gotta. It's just different, right? Like you're on offense, you're not like losing points like you could defensively.
Right. But yeah, that game was wild. Luckily, I felt pretty confident in his next move, and then was able to just knock off the tie and call it a win. There's a chance that I just lose that one if he just does a couple things different. But that game was back and forth. That was probably a very entertaining game to watch overall.
It was.
I will say on that one, I don't think I flew very optimally because I don't think I took advantage of the Watt intimidation on whatever his blue IG was for like 3 rounds. I think I should have done much better to close out and make best use of that block that I got on with Watt a couple times. I will say though, during the tournament, and I think this only happened one more time before I even entered this tournament, there was 2 activation snapshot kills. There was one on Braylon, and then there was one on Dalen in round 2. The Dalen one felt much better than the Braylon kill, because Braylon with just 1 agility, I expect to land some of those snapshots, and I expect, because B-Wings only do certain moves. They're not doing anything too tricky overall. But Braylon, he was about to roll out and then be able to just dodge and just probably live and survive that game. But the Dalen one, he was in an offensive position, and if I didn't kill him there, I'd probably lose another Bubble Lab that turn, and that game may start to swing Joe's way. So. But killing a 3 agility ship with snapshot felt chef's kiss on that one. It was I will say this list does not like to see the 3 ship rebels that we've been seeing lately. YT3 1300 dash, and then insert whichever flavor of Nora that you want, because it's a menace. I don't remember Wynn's name, but between Wynn and Buddy, they've been kind of working on this scheme about how this list can be optimized. And I don't love it as facing against it. I'm not gonna lie to you. So
It's very scary. Yeah.
I think I only got lucky against win for round 4 because I was able to 50-50 call where Lando was going to go and got the block with Watt, and then so it shut down his action economy, and it made him flee like for the majority of the game after that. Because I think one round I did like 8 damage.
Wow.
Into Lando.
Yeah.
And he had to figure out, okay, how do I save Lando? And then so I turned everything on dash after that as Lando was running away. But I think I know if I've played against Buddy with my list, and he did a much better job like orbiting. So I had to figure out, okay, so where do I try to get ahead of him to try to like force this block or force these snapshots? Because otherwise I'm just trailing, eating range 3 shots and just hating life essentially. And then there's Nora, obviously, to be in the way and to just like, okay, I'm a horrible target if you want to shoot me because I get this +1 agility. So Nora plus snapshot usually doesn't matter because there may be somebody at range 1. So then it's just auto evade kind of thing. So Nora's ability has come in very, very clutch against my list. I'm sure many other lists, but especially, I can't speak for everyone's list on this one, but especially against mine right now, it's really, really hurting overall. So I don't love to see 3 ship rebels. And then during the final against JJ, man, that was I've played clan Rens before, and it's much better playing as a clan Ren versus against a clan Ren for sure. But I think I had to get a little schemy, get a little tricksy on that game, and I think our rock placement, he probably thought it favored him, and I thought it probably favored me. And then we got that messy middle, as Nick will attest to, that it was not fun for either one of us to try to like, okay, how do I maneuver around this? And Connor, I know you played against JJ as well too that day. So
I felt the same way. That's really fascinating. I was like, why did he give me this rock formation? Han loves this, and Getsu doesn't care. Let's do this thing. But I think as the game went forward, I realized like, oh, after I engaged, it's also really difficult. Like Mando had such a hard time moving through and not like getting blocked, and I think as Nick will remember, because of that, it kind of put Ketsu in a really awkward spot and unable to get out of just 3 small ships right in front of her, and
there were too many obstacles and not enough Kiras.
Yeah,
not enough Kiras out there. You needed multiple Kiras and multiple
Kira panicking.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
no. I think it still was. Well, it became one of those things where I should have probably realized, like, yeah, I can still probably joust with Ketsu and be okay. Maybe take a good bit of damage, but I think Han and Mando maybe wanted to be in a different position, so I forced them to have to answer multiple different locations. Instead, it was, hey, you're just really just answering one area, which a Rebel Joust list loves to hear. So.
Yeah.
I want to give JJ, so that list I'm really intrigued by. I might bring that list or a version, something similar to it, to the game store next time I'm able to play. The clan, he's been playing the clan Ren list with Sabine for a long time, before 50 points
last year too.
Yeah, there's been a few people who've been playing. It's a pretty good combo.
It is. I have a lot of I had a lot of success playing the clan Rens together. You have to really, really be aggressive, and he's really good at that. I would just straight up joust people, but in a way where I would range control. I would go just fast enough that I couldn't trade range 3 shots, and I would just drive them down people's throats. The next round, then you'd get blocks. You'd get your rerolls. They wouldn't get nearly as good of mods. They'd be shooting range 1 at whatever clan Ren they're not blocked into. You have your Concordia. You have your Beskar. The only thing that can be tough is when you get so close, you start stressing yourself, and then you can't really get turned around, and so you're starting to take shots behind you, going into you at range 2, range 3 as you're trying to get back around. So when you are aggressive, you just need to carve out a lane to be able to come back into the fight. They are incredibly powerful, though. Super fun to play. One of the most engaging lists that you'll play because of the fact that they all feed off of each other, being at the same initiative, their abilities. Sabine in the A-Wing is always a good time. But then you have 2 heavy-hitting B-Wings with 8 health each, right? So that's a 5-ship list with like serious firepower, and it's going to take a while to whittle down. So if you're playing it smart enough, the clan Rens come in from one side, Sabine coming from behind, and then the B-Wings slow roll. And so your opponent is faced with, do I acknowledge these slow-rolling heavy weapons on one side, or the fact that I have these really fast freaks of nature coming up my flank trying to just like ram into me? And the way he set up, he was trying to make that strategy work. I thought he did a good job. At the end in the final table, it didn't work out. But what he did with you, Connor, I think is a great example. His setup is turn 0 and how he moved everything kind of through the middle of the board and the other B-wings coming up from the top.
He created a choke point that made it
exactly
all of his dice were on. I think he got kind of unlucky shooting into Ketsu as well, if you remember. There's one aspect of that list also that you guys didn't get to see, because Ori also brought the list and he's been flying it for our team in the 3-1-TU team league on occasion when the wild card happens. But Hopeful comes to a surprise and is a great gotcha, because sometimes you'll just end up focusing and then somebody dies and you're like, oh no, one of your guys died, but that's okay because we'll boost in for range 1 with a Clan Ren volunteer. It's great.
As long as you're not stressed. Yeah, they tend to stress themselves a lot, right?
They do. It's one of those things where if you don't quite know where they're going, you just focus as your action, and then maybe if something dies, you just kind of shoots right in.
I will say I probably got fortunate against JJ that his Gina was not as offensive as he probably would have hoped that she could have been. Connor, I don't know if you can speak differently about that part.
It's the same. No, it was the same. Like Gina just rolls. All she has is a target lock, so she just didn't roll very well with that single mod for me. Well, what happened to you? I can't even remember your game.
No, it's okay. She did a couple double taps, but like the double taps were not that critical. And then plus, if you're turning any result into a crit result with the proton cannons, as a belly rub, I'm like, whatever, I'll just shrug it off, unless it's like a pilot crit, obviously. But it's one of those things to where, yeah, it could have been 3 hits coming in from the primary attack and then 4 coming in from the proton cannon, but that's not the result that he was getting, unfortunately. So
I find it interesting that you named your list Dumb Lol, but didn't name it The Flight of All Aces, because just snapshotted to death is very funny.
I named it dumb because like this probably shouldn't work, and it's probably gonna do poorly, kind of thing. Like it is dumb that like you should. I was not expecting it to have this kind of evolution that it had overall.
I think it's such a list that has continuous firepower and has decent medium beef, especially with the Impervium as well. Honestly, my favorite part about it is targeting matrix, and I know that's kind of a weird one to say, but you have one ship that you know is going to take a good amount of damage in the opening. So you have to, he has to spend the focus at some point,
exactly,
to defend themselves. So then when it finally comes to the offensive game where you're shooting an I3, you're suddenly going, cool, I can spend my focus result on my offense to give a strain, and then the rest of my list can just pummel this one person. It's great with its targeting is really cool. Deus T81 is such a great ship. I hate how good he is. I don't hate, but he's so good. I love him so much.
I think there's a mental block in my head about like I have to keep him safe. Like he's the Anakin in my list about like I can't put him.
He's such a good closer. Like
I can't keep him just throw him into the fray. He's got to be on the outskirts. He may delay his engage 1 or 2 turns, maybe intentionally, maybe just try to preserve at that point. But
truly the Von Rig of the CIS.
Exactly. Targeting matrix, yes, I didn't love it whenever we got first the Legends and Relics back, but it's definitely grown on me as probably the second best card in there, first being Seekers, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. Against the stream game that I had for the triple IGs, targeting matrix into the double tap is ludicrous. I don't love that. That was very challenging for me to face, and I think if the game shifts just slightly one way or the other, I just lose that one horribly overall. But yeah, that double tap is something that I can't do in the engagement phase, but him doing it adds so much value to, because they're going to be double calculated anyway. Like maybe they don't want to spend 2 eyeballs and just get like, okay, I'll strain you, and then boom, now here comes my SLC, and then you only roll 1 agility, so suck it.
Let's talk about targeting matrix.
Big difference maker.
I see it a lot. I think the power to be able to spend results to assign strain tokens and how that can impact a game, it's pretty significant, right? What are your guys' opinions on targeting matrix and kind of where it's at right now cost wise? Do you feel like it's too common?
I don't know if it's too common, but I was looking actually back at your list, Epi, or not at your list, but what you faced against, and you mentioned that the 3-ship rebel list you had a hard time with. Lando had targeting matrix, so the idea being that, hey, if I don't want to spend the focus, suddenly my other 2 ships can just give a 1-2 punch into you because you're strained is pretty oppressive. The IG list also used it too, because they have one of their ships provides a weighted double tap. So hey, look at that! I can targeting matrix with the first attack, and then with the second attack, I can just make you hurt because I assigned you a strain, which is just absolutely neat to me.
Right, and then you can follow it on to the second and third or fourth shots depending on how you want to go too.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous. I don't think it's. I think it will go up in the next points change, whenever that will be. I don't think it's too common right now. I think one of the limiting factors of targeting matrix is what chassis would you put it on, because it's a modification, right? So not every ship has a second way to get a modification, or maybe they want something to do better than that first one. But if you have an extra 4 points left over, like I would have in my Bubble Lab list, or like we just mentioned in the IGs or the Lando, then you're fine with, like, I'm just gonna fill that spot. If it comes up, it comes up, but you're not leaning into it. And I built Snapshot into the list, obviously, too, which it does not work with. I only traded one game with that, Nick, just to be clear. And that was during 3-1-2. And my opponent agreed with me. I'm blanking on the name of the opponent. I'm sorry about that. But we agreed to that before we actually started the game. Does this work? And we talked it through. He agreed, and that's how we proceeded. I think it only came into play once or twice anyway, so I don't know if it was a huge decider in the list. But since then, I haven't tried to press to Snapshot targeting matrix. But if it did work,
I was the only one that wasn't wondering about it. Everyone else was like, I hope he didn't use Snapshot and targeting matrix. I'm over here I think I only brought it up once, and that was after somebody mentioned in the chat. I was like, yeah, you can't use it, but I wasn't over here suspecting that you were using it. You definitely can't be modifying your dice though, right? Because that's spending a result as a modification. Snapshot's nope.
Well, yeah, that would be crazy.
My initial argument for it was because the target matrix comes in after the neutralized results. So that's where I was like, is it, because Snapshot is during the attack, right? But that's fine. It's fine. It does not work.
Yeah, I don't want to play a game that allows you to do something like that. I'm Gucci.
Yeah, it would kind of turn every ship into a pseudo Rex.
It's like 1.0-esque stuff right there.
Right. Exactly.
So good.
Okay. Now we're resolving everything. And by the way, strain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now I get to shoot you with my primary modded attack.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of me first seeing this list and then immediately having a heart attack because I didn't realize that Snapshot doesn't work with targeting matrix. I'm like, oh god, he can do that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He just keeps getting away with it. Yeah.
I will say, of all of the new upgrades, Burst Laser Turret is, I think, far and away the biggest winner that people are taking.
Wow, you think so?
It's just a better turret.
And I agree. It's so good.
Yeah. And then with the list, especially with the prevalence of Y-Wings, I see that as one of the predominant carriers, but it's also really good if you're taking the Ghost. Yeah, you can take it on there. Like any ship that has a turret. Yeah, Burst Laser Turret is by far and away, I think, of the new upgrades, the biggest winner. Number 2 is Targeting Matrix. So that, for all the reasons we just said. And then number 3 is the Unhinged Astromech.
See, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with Seeker Missiles. Yeah, I'm going to go with Seeker Missiles as number 1, honestly.
I think maybe the differences between Seekers and Burst is that Burst has so many different ships that just want that specific upgrade, because you can bring in a swarm of stuff that likes it. You can bring in a really big chassis that can double tap, like Hera with Veteran Turret Gunner. But with Seekers, yeah, they're pretty, they suck. But there's only a few specific ships, or there's a good amount. Don't kill me. But there's a few specific ships that really, really love it, and then everyone else is like, "Yeah, this is kind of neat." I'll
yeah, I mean, it reminds me of 1.0 with the all-in-one kind of get everything you need opportunities.
Yeah.
They're not priced cheaply. They shouldn't be. People who know me well enough with my opinions on this game know that I am not a fan of double mod wing. I easily double mod wing, and it's I tend to not be huge fans of things that
his 5 X-Wings down the table and hope for the best.
That's definitely what I do. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you gotta bring lists that can give you the most opportunities to be able to do more with your firepower, more, double mod when you can. Seeker Missiles are just hey, don't worry about doing anything else. Just here is everything you need all in one. Sure, it's only 3 dice, And most non-force users, I think force users, like Ahsoka and the A-Wing is a good example, who really can take advantage of Seekers in a different way than like what she used to use with concussion missiles. Most of the time, you spend 2 charges, and then you've spent a couple charges for the eyeball modifications, stuff that can reload. Some of the newer SFs can just like reload every turn, still shoot, have a calculate, have an evade sometimes. Like very good in that case as well. I don't know. Is anyone using automated loaders? I'm so curious about that one. Or Gravitic Well. I know Gravitic Well is good.
I tried once on HMP and it didn't even trigger. So
I tried it on Death Thrain once, but I was just kind of like, I think he's fine. He'll be all right. I mean, sometimes you'll get the primary off to be able to reload in the same round, and then you'll be able to turn around next round and throw a missile if you have it. But it rarely happened to the point that I'd rather just have loadout for something else.
Data wise for Seekers, this tournament was weird though, because there's 2 midnights that show up with it, and then there's for some reason there's 2 lists with Z95s that have Seeker missiles on it. So what a weird tournament that way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised too, because I remember when the points first came out, there was a fear that was being run around with the Inquisitors, instinctive aim Seekers as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's scary. I still wonder if that list will peek its head out in a tournament randomly and just win it. Just because
I didn't think that all fit.
Yeah, you can do instinctive aim, Seeker missiles, and just bring 5 Inquisitors, and look at that. What if you just evaded, or what if you just did your barrel focus? What if you just had great time on target? What if you had 3 green? What if you had 3 red? It's kind of scary, honestly, but it hasn't really shown up as much because I guess they're still only 4 health. They still could go badly. And Seekers doesn't allow you to push. Epi, your list can throw 4 red at range 1. That's scary. And honestly, if you get it in the right position, you could throw many range 1s. You just pummel somebody, kick them in the dirt. But I guess the idea with Inquisitors is the reason maybe why it hasn't shown up as much is that it's just a whole lot of consistency dice for a while. Whereas, and it's not really throwing anything else at range 1, and it's still pretty low initiative. So, who knows?
You got to figure a way to get your target locks in there somewhere too,
Yeah. I do agree that Burst Laser is probably gonna go up. And I feel a little bit bad too, because if you look at the general meta for Resistance, it feels like that Y-Wing list is kind of... I don't want to say this boldly, but it feels like that's the only list I feel like I see that's doing really well with Resistance.
Yeah, as someone who's playing Resistance in like the 312 in the NCX League, taking the like Kai and the other one, like the two 7-point Y-Wings are like feel really good with the Burst Laser.
There was a friend of mine that brings Chewie, goes by Wazdy Click, Mike Blossom. He'll bring Chewie and a bunch of Y-Wings knowing that they'll die, and then Chewie just shoots again. That's pretty fun to watch.
And honestly, it's like, you're going to lose them. Sometimes your opponents ignore them. They're good at objectives, and it's just a good value.
I want to talk about one upgrade, honestly, that I wish I saw more of. Targeting Relay. After a friendly ship acquires a lock on an enemy ship at range 0 to 1 of you, you may spend 1 charge and gain 1 stress token. If you do, that friendly ship may gain 1 calculate token. It's so neat to me, and it's not too pricey either for 3 points, but there's just not a lot of factions that really like the upgrade. But there is one faction that likes the upgrade, and they're named First Order with the TIE Barons. So you bring... Oh, this has been a fun list. You bring like 4 of them, all with Targeting Relay and Proud Tradition. So if you're ever at range 1, you can just target lock, stress yourself with that target lock to get a calculate, and then do your primary action. But because you have Proud Tradition, you don't care that you're stressed. Yeah, it's so fun.
Awesome. I was going to say the other FO one I've been having a lot of fun with is Kylo Ren with the TSJ-1A targeting computer in the Whisper, where you can jam your opponent, and then if they don't have green tokens, you can turn 1 crit into 2 hits.
Then you spend your force to make those face-up damage cards.
Yep.
Rude. That's rude. So rude, yeah.
Yeah,
it's only a one-time charge, though. Is part of the reason I don't bring it. Is like
you only need it once. You only need it once, though, right? Like the games where I get it off, it is devastating. Like it should only be 1 charge. No, it's broken if it's more. You can get that back.
I guess the problem is like Whisper Kylo needs to. He's only got so much loadout, but you're spending because he's 14 points. So his loadout should be a little bit lower. He should be able to get everything he wants. And I'm still running that. We should be bringing a missile, instinctive aim, and advanced optics. But the only way you can store all that is taking an ion missile. So just like ion missile, instinctive aim, advanced optics, brilliant evasion, configuration, you're good to go. Just shoot ion missiles at I6. Well, at
Yeah.
I6 opponents that get in your way, make them regret their life.
I've faced that RT-71, the target lock into boost, and that's a pretty nasty thing. Whenever you don't, if it catches you off guard, you're like, oh, you're not where I thought you would be, kind of situation. I think it's got you wing for now, but as we continue to see the meta evolve from the upgrade pack, I think it may get some more play. I think I've only seen it traditionally used on Rebels so far, but I think Resistance will find a way to get a niche on it as well too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. You know, the one thing that's kind of surprising me about this recent conquest is that no one, you know, CIS better than I do, Epi, but is there a reason why Gravitic Well isn't seeing as much play with the Nantex? Because I feel like it's not just Sunfac that enjoys the idea of Gravitic Well. There's a few others that enjoy it too, but I don't feel like I see enough of it.
I think it's just the cost of what Nantex you're bringing, because you're right. It's Sunfac and it's
Chartic?
Chertek. That's right. Yeah, because the other two or the three, no one really plays them overall. But Chertek being able to,
Why would you disrespect the name that is bureaucrat?
that's true, or Gorgal, exactly.
Gorgal.
Exactly. But just I think it's that initial shock value or face value of bringing a Sunfac at 13 points, and you're just going to kind of park him behind a rock for some. Because the times I played against Gravitic Well, it's trick shot Gravitic Well, so he's rolling +1 dice because he's tractored, and then +1 dice because of the trick shot. So
Miniature Falcon, just going around the board like a little satellite.
exactly, they just kind of orbit around, which they can't orbit quite like a falcon or quite like a bow tie arc would, but it's still, I think Sunfac wants to be in your face eventually when he closes the distance, and then ensnare you and then make your life miserable overall. So
See, the problem that Chertik has is that T81 exists, and he's also 10 points, and he's
that's
so much
true.
cooler.
That's true.
The problem is
So much
T81
more
exists.
value, yeah. Third deck has one more hole, but it's not the value. It's not the value there.
Let's say I wanted to also talk about the third most picked up upgrade card from the new pack, which is the Unhinged Astromech, and what it's doing to arcs. I mean, it's a lot more fun to fly, but I want to go across the pond to the UK Games Expo 2026 of this list that I had the pleasure of playing against. I don't know if this player invented the list, but they won the UK Games Expo with it, Canterbury, and it is a 7-ship Republic list that is 2 Torrents or 3 Torrents with dedicated, just the Gold Squadron Trooper, 2 Arc 170s that only have Unhinged Astromech, and then Warthog, which allows ships to not be removed from the board until the end of the engagement phase. So even if they get destroyed, they can still take their shots. It's a heck of a lot of hull to chew through.
This is my fear currently with is those kinds of lists. I don't really I have such a hard time responding to it, honestly, and it kind of brings me back to like the 2024 worlds when everyone was bringing like the arc lists with so much beef. It's like they just look at you down from the table and they say I am inevitable, and then they come at you with all of that beef and just the inability to remove them.
It is. Yeah, I mean, this was like one of the first games I played. Like I said, this is kind of the list in Europe, but I think it's going to start coming across the pond. I've seen it in NCX, and I think I'm starting to see it more in 312. It's one of the first lists too, where like you sit across from it, and you're like, I don't even know how to tackle like this. It's so easy to hide Warthog behind just all of those ships.
Yeah, and then it becomes a Goron situation where it's like, in order for me to get to the Goron, the juicy Goron, I have to get around your stupid list.
Yeah, and the thing was, Empire just doesn't have this much hull, to get past it.
They have the greens.
They have the greens. Well, and the thing is too with these lists, all of them have the dedicated, so they can re-roll all of their defensive dice.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where over time people get back into rock placement theory a little bit more, because
Mhm.
when I was remembering like the 2024 Worlds, a lot of it came down to like, okay, so if you don't have the right rock set up, or your opponent doesn't give you a whole lot to work with, this is what you do in round zero. And a lot of that stuff was more the meta is a fluctuating thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just based on what other people have discussed openly, what other people think that they're seeing, and it doesn't necessarily make it true. But at least with this list, if it continues that way, and yeah, I agree with you. It's probably going to come across the pond, at least more in North America over time. It's going to be devastating a little bit. I don't know. I'm scared of it. I don't play this list that can do enough damage to something like that.
It's such
Yeah.
a beefy list. It just kind of it's demoralizing sometimes, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the hard part is it is not being able to initiative destroy these ships is I
There's
feel like
nothing
really impactful.
more disrespectful than dedicated, honestly.
Yeah,
Except for maybe heroic, but it's a little different, I guess.
that's
'cause
fair. Yeah,
Resistance
heroic.
can't resistance can't put heroic on some of their low cost points as much anymore, just because it's talent based, and only so many ships have enough points they really can jam in heroic into their list, and so it feels a little bit better now. Now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, Poe's got heroic, and then you got everybody else or whatever. Then
Yeah.
meanwhile, over here you have these 6-point guys with dedicated that are just going around the board, so they always have some kind of side arc. And your ship that you're just trying to get a little bit more damage into is like dedicated. Yeah, dedicated. Yeah, no. I'm gonna go ahead and re-roll that with dedicated.
Uh-huh.
That's
It's
so
just-
bad.
Yeah, you have like 2 to 3 elusives,
It sucks.
during an engagement. Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is like we have these conquest series, and I have only played against so many ships in the Republic, because most of the time I still feel like people are still playing their Republic aces. Maybe they're bringing a lat with 7 Fleet Gunner, maybe they're
Yeah.
just bringing 4 solid aces, and I think it just comes down to, I'm saying all this fear, not really I just haven't really faced that list often enough
Yeah.
to know what to do. And so I think maybe as more familiarity happens, it'll eventually maybe get easier, and maybe it'll be a little bit more addressed. Because yeah, it's scary, it has a lot of health, but there's still some good joust lists out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, as Rebels proved, at least with the Conquest series, like, hey, you can still bring a good Rebel joust. Clan Ren volunteers, man, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm. We just wanted to call that out. Is there anything else like that we wanted to tackle about the new upgrades or any changes in the meta that we've seen?
Really sad that Roiling Anger doesn't see play.
I thought we were going to see
that's another
some
one.
more of the new pilots, but I don't think they had a big splash so far.
Been loving Carnor Jax.
Has anyone seen Quinlan Voss getting played at all? Quinlan?
I think I saw it on NCX like a couple times, and it just exploded.
Yeah, well, an ADA is an ADA. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you guys just because you guys have been playing in the trenches more than I have, so I wanted to let y'all's conversation flow without interrupting.
I haven't seen one Quinlan Voss yet.
Same. Yeah.
I didn't even. I had to look through the the document at all of them. Like, ooh, who's this guy?
How'd you get in here?
How'd you get in here? Well, because like the New Republic, I'm like, yeah, it's just Ursa Ren. Who's this guy?
Like
Yeah.
Tamara Ravora. I'm not sure I've seen Tamara yet. Again, my exposure to games is tournaments and streaming right now, so it's not really a sample size that's indicative of what people are truly playing consistently. But
Tamara is interesting because like it helps out a lot of problems that First Order has. Where, well, maybe not a lot of problems. They have a lot of ways to target lock already, but like they have a lot of ships in their general area that really need to do other things or can only single mod. So like you could bring Quick Draw, you could bring Kylo, you could bring a Upsilon shuttle, and Tamara can help them out. But like Tamara's only real issue is that you're spending 9 points for essentially 2 red and maybe a proton rocket.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be target locking most of the time with her anyways. And the problem for First Order is like 9 points could be spent on something that has like good coordinate or decent dice. And so it makes it kind of tough to bring her sometimes, or to want to do so. I'm like, yeah, I can do this combo, but I'm essentially spending if I'm bringing Quick Draw, 9 plus 14 points just to get a single reroll.
Yeah.
Nice. You did it.
It's a very expensive Quick Draw.
Yeah.
Also, I think as X-Wing players, we tend to be slow to adapt in a meta until somebody sees success, and then we're like, okay, boom, let's jump on that kind of thing. And there hasn't been that breakout.
Claims.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There hasn't been that breakout yet of any of these new pilots yet.
I for one think that Thweeksu's a lack of play and needs to see more. I actually do mean that a little bit seriously. Thweek is weird. I do have the dream. You know what? I'm gonna bring that to the next one. Thweek is cool. He's only 12 points and he's hard to catch. He's so cool. Love him.
That's true. I remember when they announced the pilots, I thought I would be seeing a lot more Thweek.
I did too, honestly.
Yeah. Is there a way for him to do more damage? Sorry to interrupt, but like I think maybe people are trying to figure out a way. Yeah, sure, he might be slippery, but is he like
Lone Wolf and blind
like
spot targeting? I think is the only thing you really want to do, just because like you throw him into a weird spot on the board, kind of in the same way that T81 like is kind of more of a flanker. You play him kind of like Echo, where you just make him hard to catch or put people out of position. I guess maybe the problem that Thweek has is more that Mandalorian in the Naboo Starfighter exists, and so does Dalen Oberos for 10 points. He does a lot of the same things for 2 less points, and nearly identical initiative, at least for Dalen, and then I5 for Mando. Thweek is interesting, though. I do want to see more. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised I don't see more of L9B2, the I6 Tri-Fighter. He's so cool.
As a CIS player, I've tried it a couple of times. It did not go well for me, but I'm not saying it's dead, but it is more difficult than I would have initially imagined. I'll say with that.
That's valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, T81 allows you to kind of make a mistake sometimes. It gives you a little bit more breathing room to be like, oh shoot, my opponent thought well about a good kill box.
Yeah.
Okay, I just need to do this, and maybe I only take like 1 less shot, and I still have some mods and rerolls and stuff. So it's you're spending 1 more point for an I6, but like as a faction, they're not really hurting for I6. Yeah.
There was one appearance of Thrawn apparently in the Golden State, so that's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to see.
So cool.
Yeah, I know. Captive is another one that I've seen a little bit.
Captive can be oppressive to play. I've seen it online. I've never played against it, I should say, but like I've definitely seen it on stream, and I'm like, this seems awful.
It can suck because like if people have been bringing it with Railed Mashirinu with Vader and Captive, and suddenly now you can make Rack just be this oppressive ship that can fly in and not be cagey. Like they don't even really have to worry to some extent. Rack can now joust without any worry whatsoever, and that can suck because you're like, oh, I guess I'll just kill his friends and then hope he doesn't hurt me. Please don't hurt me, Rack. I want to talk about my personal favorite pilot that came out of this, Corner Jax. Oh my goodness, he's so fun. I still feel like you should be bringing like Fell probably instead. He's I6, and honestly, there's still some decent interceptors in Empire overall. But there's just something about Karnor when his ability goes off and you have a very good shot going in, because his ability can happen on anyone else's shot as well. It's just simply being in his front arc at range 0 to 1, so you can even force a bump, or you can just get behind somebody. It's while an enemy ship at range 0 to 1 in your front arc. It's such a fun ship. The only issue I really have with it is that I feel like you have to bring Palpatine just to make him work, because spending the Force for defense or offense can sometimes feel bad, because then you're usually only going to get a single modded shot, and at least with Palpatine on the board, you have another way to spend Force. So,
but also kind of like we were talking about with Ada's, you're throwing a 3-hull ship into 0 to 1, so you're like, I just hope he lives.
I flew that really well, and I got a panicked pilot game. That's not very fair at all.
The game hates me. That's what it is.
The game hates me. I flew that so incredibly well. What are you talking about, game? Punished for my skill.
Exactly.
Well, guys, I think we've gotten to a point now where we can start to wrap up the convo here. I appreciate you guys jumping on to talk about your conquest victories and to talk about the new content. I think the jury is still out, honestly, on probably about half of what's come out from Legends and Relics. I know there's a few pilots we just discussed we'd like to see more of. There's a few things that are getting played all the time that we'd probably like to see maybe get used differently. I think that's a very diplomatic way of saying it, whether that means there's a points change or whether that means, there's limitations or slots that are moved around, etc. But yeah, we're starting to see some things take form here. And what's nice is that I don't think anything is remotely close to being solved. You never want a meta to be completely solved anyways. It's still pretty early on here. And so the next conquest, I think, will really solidify some of our takes, whether they're the right ones or they're really bad takes on kind of where things are going. And so that next conquest is going to be Liberty City Conquest. Let me pull up the date here. I have so many different dates I'm keeping track of. So let me pull up our document.
Yeah, what's your calendar look like, Nick? Is it all just all over the place?
It's awful. Yeah. It's I'm glad we were finally able to do this. Andrew was able to nudge me on recording. I was like, yeah, we should do that. So that's going to be the Liberty City Conquest is going to be on September 26th. That is at Eastern time zone. I'm so excited to host that one. If y'all are interested in signing up for Conquest, you can see the link in the description. Also, our streams, we're always sharing information on joining via our streams as well. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap it up here with our little outro?
I know you just mentioned the Conquest, and are you still on the fence about modifying the rules out to mention a top 4, or is it numbers dependent kind of situation?
It's numbers dependent. So I will update it for it to mention that there could be a top 4 though. Yeah, it's just gonna basically be a day of decision. We always have last minute joins and last minute drops. But yeah, that will be certainly on the table. So we won't have to deal with an undefeated player not making cut going forward.
Just want to shout out to, honestly, the XWA website and getting the find an event and run an event when what's been going on with that. Honestly, this has been such a huge thing to me to have a place where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So there's a tournament in Colorado. There's a tournament going on, and ooh, interesting. Like you can see all the regional squad championships like really easily, and I really love that, honestly.
Yeah, shout out to us. Shout out to Greg for putting that together. Just Greg doing his thing, really coming in clutch once again, helping beef up the technology and improve it. That site is tremendous. It's a tremendous asset.
This whole game wouldn't be where it is without Greg these days, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been a huge part of it.
Yeah, like absolutely.
Well, guys, thank you to everyone for listening to this episode and continuing to listen and support us at 312. You can find all this new content for Legends and Relics and the pertinent documents, print and play, etc. at our new and improved xwing.life website. You can link in the description. Go over there. If you aren't already following us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, I think you should. The links are also in the description. 312 produces some awesome swag for their patrons. If you guys want to support us and continue to allow us to be able to do exciting things like travel to stream events like the Denver Regional coming up, or the Nova Open Regional coming up in a couple months, in Worlds, you can go over there and support us and get rewarded with some really awesome exclusive swag. Both of these guys know that both of our Conquest champions know what it's like to get cool swag from 312. So just saying. Lastly, Infinite Arenas is our sponsor. We are very proud to be sponsored by Infinite Arenas. You can head over there to get your fix of X-Wing compatible components, including accessible card printing, physical game assets, and support for the new Legends and Relics pack, and much more, including the Squad Champ kits. You can head over there. Thank you to Infinite Arenas once again. My name is Nick.
My name is Andrew Kouba.
I'm Connor.
I'm Daniel.
And we are signing off. Thank you all. Congratulations again, gentlemen, on your Conquest.
Yeah,
victories.
congrats.
Thank you much.
Thanks.